So fear of intimacy, what exactly are we afraid of? The simple thought of people coming on to us, that people wanted to be close to us, would trigger the icky feeling, causing us to panic, wanting to withdraw or run away. That is actually our freeze response in relationships. In my opinion, there are actually 3 core fears underneath it. The first 2 are a bit on our conscious level, and the last one may be more hidden for us. But first, I want to go over some hidden signs that you may have fear of intimacy, besides your covert avoidance strategy. So sign number 1, you may have addictions outside of relationship, meaning maybe you are a workaholic. You may compulsively devote all of your energy into work because you believe that work brings you a greater sense of accomplishment and self-identity. The second sign is that you advocate strong independence. It's not like independence is a bad thing, it's just when you go to the other extreme, when you despise vulnerability, dependence, and asking for help, it may reveal more of your avoidance strategy towards relationship. And the third one is that you tend to notice and exaggerate your partner's flaws simply because they're just being human beings. This can be a really big sign of you sabotaging your relationship unconsciously. You're trying to convince yourself to leave. The last one is that you rigidly keep your partners from participating in your life aspects. No matter if it's meeting your friends, meeting your family, or you refuse to make sacrifices like life routines. For example, you get extremely angry and disgusted when you feel they are disturbing your plan and schedule, because a relationship requires a certain degree of compromise from the both sides. So what exactly are we afraid of when we're talking about fear of intimacy? The first one is that we fear people's unacceptance of us. With complex PTSD, we struggle on a daily basis. We spend a lot of energy to try to maintain emotionally regulated, to appear normal to others, to not feel weird or alienated. Our biggest concern or fear is that what we struggle intensively on a daily basis might be too much for others, because on the outside, it may look like intensive mood swings, underreactivity, overreactivity, being needy for no reason, being withdrawn for no reason, being angry, being mean to others for no reason, being self-critical or ashamed for no reason. And I say all of this with my greatest empathy. I feel you completely. This is what has been looked like for the majority of my life, because we believe that we have a lot of flaws due to shame, and we are not that attractive due to those emotional mood swings, due to those reactivity, due to our unpredictable emotions. We're scared of them ourselves, letting alone show it to people that are closest to us. We're afraid that when people come too close to us, we will be exposing our truth, exposing the emotional needs we tried really hard to conceal in early stages of a relationship, exposing that we're not that fun or chill like we pretended to be, exposing that we may need help from others close to us, which we're almost certain that we're not worthy of people adapting to us or attending to our needs. Fear of intimacy is the biggest relationship triggers for people with complex PTSD, as I've talked about in detail in my other video. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. But when people coming onto us, it triggers our deep vulnerability and insecurity. We have severe inner conflicts. On the outside, our cognition level, like we try to persuade ourselves to be chill, just relax. People are safe. They're not that scary. They just like us. They have good intentions. They're not trying to do anything to us. They won't try to hurt us. But that's our conscious level. Deep down, what's holding us back, what's fighting this conscious belief that people are good, is our deep mistrust. We carry this deep sense of unworthiness, making us believe that people come onto us because they see our facade, our glowing face outside. They probably like our status, they like that we're rich, they like that we're pretty, they like that we're probably young or attending to their needs. We just don't believe that the core of us is loved and accepted by them. And this has actually come from us rejecting us, not necessarily the people rejecting us in intimacy. It shows up like we may agree to a date, then seconds later we regret. We get this icky feeling that causes us to hold back, to withdraw, to push people away. And then when people get pushed away, we feel bad. We feel sometimes a sense of abandonment if we really like them, but sometimes we just feel guilty, like we are bad people, like we're overly defensive, we're overly guarded. As a result, our emotions, thoughts, behaviors, and actions, they can be quite repetitive and unpredictable to others, causing them hard to follow us. And we may have been labeled as such, causing us this deep sense of being understood and being alone, enhancing our shame. The second fear is we're afraid of being disturbed in terms of maintaining our emotional equilibrium. For people who have a nervous system that is easily disturbed or dysregulated, we do a lot of work around being stable, and we know that relationships can be the most triggering thing. The ups and downs in relationships, emotions involved with it, the abandonment fear, the engulfment fear, the fear of getting close, and the yearning to wanting to be close. Like you're probably micromanaging your partner's emotions or behaviors. You're probably jealous of your partner's coworker. You are preoccupied with the whereabouts of your partner constantly. All of those can cause us to be extremely emotionally reactive, vulnerable, and exhausted. We're so terrified that relationships might completely take in our life's priority, replacing the balanced self-care taking, our chasing for dreams, for goals, for ambitions, our desire to have fun with friends, to explore life, and all those things. We're so afraid that the relationship can be draining for us, that we don't have any energy left to maintain our self-autonomy, our emotional equilibrium. We all know that what getting triggered means to us. It looks like this. Basically, the mood of the day gets ruined. Our plan gets disturbed, not to mention being productive. When you're triggered, you're probably like me, you're gonna lose sleep over it for like a couple of days down the line. If you have adverse childhood experience, especially if you grew up in those chaotic, unstable households, it shows up in our adulthood like we may be hyper-vigilant, hyper-cautious, hyper-guarded, that we lost the ability to have fun, to relax and rewind. We have developed this superpower, which I would call like risk assessments. We micromanage every hint, every signal that things could go wrong. We wanted things to stay the same, to be stable, to be predictable for us, in order for us to have this false sense of security, this false sense of control. That is why over the years we may have carefully crafted life routines that we rigidly stick to and compulsively manage every day, so that we don't get surprises. Some of us may call it time management. But when it becomes excessive, when it becomes too rigid, that it leaves no room for spontaneity or relationships or exploration of yourself, then it might be control issues. You may have this deep core belief that if your schedule gets ruined, your day gets ruined, your life gets ruined. So it's more of a catastrophic thinking rather than like efficient time management. So that's a line I wanted to look for. The third one, the more subconscious one, is our fear of getting engulfed or abandoned. If the early relationship you have with your caregivers are somewhat imbalanced, you probably carry the burden all the time that you caused others' emotions. Therefore, you need to fix them. So you've learned the relationship model that there's no emotional boundary. There's only one voice in that relationship, either yours or mine. Either you control me or I control you. There's no balanced autonomy. If you had highly controlling, demanding, or anxious parents, you may have experienced what we call covert avoidance of relationships. Your voices and emotions get buried, and now there's deep imprint of being engulfed, of not being able to share your personal truth, or having your emotions getting validated. This means, for example, if you don't like hanging out with some of your kindergarten friends and you go to your mom like you don't want to hang out with them, instead of asking you why and trying to understand where you're coming from, your mother said that, well, why don't you like her? You're putting me in a difficult position. I and her mother are good friends and you're embarrassing me. As a result of it, we learn that it's not okay to have a self, to have individual voice and emotions in a relationship. We give up who we are to please our parents. We give up our independence and autonomy. At another end of the spectrum, again, there's nothing absolute. One person may lean towards one another extreme under different circumstances, but if you have unpredictable parents, being close means that you may risk of being abandoned, which is overly painful for you to handle and admit. So in order to avoid getting hurt, on the outside, you may appear like you love relationships, you wanted to get close, but have you noticed that you push away people who are available to you? You get addicted to people that are unavailable and unpredictable to you, just like your parents. So your deep fear of intimacy shows up here. Under this extreme spectrum, you also don't have a balanced autonomy and independence. If you're interested in 3 triggers for anxious obsession, I have a video about it. I'm gonna put it up here. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.